to express that feelings.
This call is now being recorded.
Today, Dai sir is going to talk about the rubrics. What are the rubrics and how rubrics are used to assess the students? I request to Dai sir, please share your experiences with the same curiosity that he shown toward us, with the same enthusiasm. Share your experiences with these FDP participants. For this session, I request Mrs. Kirti Sapre, MCE's Institute of Pharmacy, Assam Campus, Pune, to please share the session of Dai sir. Now I request Dai sir to please share your experiences on rubrics, how to develop the rubrics, and what are the different advantages if we use the rubrics for the assessment.
Thank you, Dr. Kuldeep, for
Welcome again, sir.
giving my introduction, for saying so nice words. Dr. Kuldeep,
Yes.
as you have listened him yesterday, so a person who met so many innovations is always there to see what new I can bring to the college, to the class, to the colleagues. So that type of personality, Dr. Kuldeep Bansori is. Okay, so let me say good morning to all of you. Hope you are geared to learn today also. This is the third day, fourth day. Yeah, this is the fourth day of your 5 days FDP. And I welcome you all for this session. Once again, I thank organizers, Dr. Prashant Argade, HOD, and his whole team for providing me an opportunity to interact with you all. Okay, so let me start with my presentation. Yes. Okay, so let us start. So, dear participants, today's topic is OBE assessment, use of rubrics. The word rubric you might have come across, you might have used the rubrics, because whenever we keep few of the competitions, it is the rubric which is helping us to finalize the rankers. So you can see this is a rubric. So you can see there are the rows and there are the columns. So rubric is nothing but it is a matrix which composed of rows and columns. That's all. That is a rubric. Okay, you might have played with this rubric also, which is available in the market. And what we are using in the education field is the second one. Okay, we have these columns, these are the rows, and therefore we use this for the assessment of various activities that take place in our institute. So let us go ahead. When I look forward to this session, I have kept the learning outcomes that after completion of this session, the learners should be able to differentiate between formative and summative assessment. They should be able to explain various types of rubrics and its use. The third learning outcome is they should be able to design rubric using various components. And fourth one is to use rubrics for assessing OBE. How we are going to use rubric for assessing OBE. And the fifth outcome, that you should be able to use Moodle for designing your rubric and use it, because you know we have already discussed this. Moodle is going to keep your data stored for so many days. So when you want to compare the same rubric which you have applied for your student from the first year till the last year, you can come to know a single student how he has improved. Okay, therefore we are taking this. So use the Moodle for designing various rubrics. Okay, so with this learning outcomes in mind, I'm just going through, and the first, let us discuss on what is assessment. So assessment is the systematic process of documenting and using empirical data to measure knowledge, skills, attitudes, and beliefs. So whenever we use some process for documentation of the students' knowledge, documentation of student skills or their attitudes, how they behave, what are their beliefs. So if we use the systematic process of documentation, it is nothing but an assessment. Okay, so when we do this assessment, we try to improve the student's path of learning. That is very important. The assessment, it is not whatever is happening nowadays in our colleges, that the students feel that yes, we have to pass, we have to face the examination, but they do the rote learning, they get some marks and they go up higher. Is there the holistic development of the student happening? A big question mark. And therefore new national education policy talks about that there should be a holistic type of development of each and every student. And therefore when we do assessment as a teacher, it is not that the final examination they are passing, it is the assessment which as a teacher we should use to improve the student's path of learning. That is very important. Okay, and therefore let us go and see various types of assessment. Okay, so we came to know the what is assessment. Assessment is a documentation process where we measure the students' knowledge, skills, attitudes, and beliefs. So there are two types of assessment. The first one is formative assessment and another one is a summative assessment. Maybe this is very basic, you all might be knowing, just a revision part for you. And let us revise that, how whether we are using formative type of assessment or it is only the summative type of assessment is going on in our institutes. Therefore let us classify this. So when we talk of types of assessment, it is a formative assessment and a summative assessment. So what is formative? So formative assessment is an ongoing, flexible, and more informal diagnostic tool. We want to diagnose something, and it's all ongoing. Okay, so this formative assessment is used for what? To take the feedback. So once I have completed my concept, whether that concept has been understood by all the participants or not, if I am going to take the feedback of the students, maybe feedback, maybe some quiz, maybe we can have some interaction. So when we take these and when we come to know that most part of the or major number of students are not knowing this concept, it has not been making clear, that is the feedback which teachers should look forward to. Yes, if that is the thing that they have not understood, yes, how I can make some changes so that the students will understand it better. So whenever we are using the assessment for the purpose of taking the feedback, whether they have understood or not, if few people have not understood, how I am going to make it understood to them? So that is a formative assessment, that is an ongoing process. So as a teacher, we have to see whether we are using this formative tool, formative assessment tool during our lectures. Because yes, syllabus covering is a part, no doubt, but whether every of my student has come across this, understood this, how I can make them understand. Now then the strategies will come. Let us go ahead with the summative assessment. So I think formative assessment, you have come to know, this is a diagnostic tool which is ongoing. Every time you are using, it is not at the end of the year. or end of the semester, not at the end of the sessional. For every concept, for every chapter, I'm using this formative assessment as a tool. Then comes the summative assessment. What is this? These are the formal structured one. MSBT, university examinations. Okay, they are structured. And for what they are used? Used to normalize the performance so they can be measured and compared how many marks they have got. 70%, 75%. Okay, so that is the summative assessment. Okay, and therefore we give the grades to them. 70% distinction, first class. That comes as a formal assessment too. Okay, so I think it's very clear what is formative and summative, and as a teacher we should be using both these tools. Summative is a end result. Summative is the end result, what has happened. But formative is very important because that is an ongoing process that every teacher should use frequently so that they can deliver or give that experience of teaching learning process to each and every student. Okay, now let us move further. So this is what the classification is. So formative assessment is an ongoing process. It improves learning quality. Okay, because as a teacher, what I teach, maybe the students are not learning. So it is my moral responsibility as a teacher that my every student will learn. And therefore, formative assessment improves the learning quality. Therefore, we have to use it. It's individualized because you are taking this feedback from each and every student by conducting quiz, by taking a feedback. So individually, you come to know whether the student has understood or not. And this is not for grading, it's ungraded. It's just for taking the feedback. And this is a process oriented. Why? Because I should come to know this concept has been understood by how many % of students? 80%? So good. So how I can make these 20% students to understand? If these 20% students, I want to take them separately. That's why Pharmacy Council of India, AICTE, all the UGC tells and brings that tutorial, but we never used it. We felt that tutorial is something. Why we have AICTE is recommending tutorial room, tutorials they are taking. This is for this, because we come to know that a specific strata of students have not understood this concept. How I can make it? I can take the use of fast learners and make these students understand that concept. Therefore, the tutorial room is required. Therefore, tutorial is given as 1 hour per week for every subject in many of the subjects. Why? Because when you take that 3 lectures, whatever concept has been covered, you have to assess it. Therefore, 1 tutorial. Assess it, make the groups, and let the students, those who have not understood, let them also be understood. So that is the holistic approach. That is the formative assessment. Okay. Then we come towards summative assessment. This is a closure. Once the student get grades, yes, you have first year passed or degree you have got. Okay. It judges the learning level, how much learning has happened with the student. And this is applied against the standards. Now, what are the standards? Standards means 35% or 40% marks to pass, 75% for distinction. So these are the standards. So you apply those standards. These are the graded ones. There are shortfalls because if you're going for only summative assessment, the students are just doing a rote learning. They want to pass. Okay. And this is a product oriented. Yes, we are just putting a stamp that this is a B.Pharm graduate. This is an engineering graduate. This is a diploma holder. We are, so that is a summative assessment. I think this distinction is quite easy to understand. So I think the first outcome is achieved by us, that we have understood what is assessment and what are the differences between formative and summative assessment. Okay. Now let us move ahead, and let me take, there are 2 terms which come always, either when you go for OBE, outcome based education, that you have to go for direct assessment. So when I talk of direct assessment, there is also indirect assessment. What do you mean by that? So direct assessment is nothing but I am taking an exam directly, or I am observing the student's knowledge or skill against performance indicators, maybe through the practicals and theory exams which we conduct. So that becomes a direct assessment. Direct assessment here. When we talk of indirect assessment, these are totally dependent upon what opinions the parents have, what opinions your students have, what opinions other stakeholders are having. So when you get that opinion, you take an exit survey, student exit survey, so that is an indirect assessment, because there you are not directly observing it. That is the opinion of a student. They feel like that. So that is an indirect type of assessment. So these two things will come: direct assessment, indirect assessment. So whenever we talk of direct assessment, it is through the examination, whether it is a sessional, whether it is a periodic, or whether it is a midterm or annual examination. So that is nothing but a direct examination, direct observation of the students. That is a direct assessment. When we come towards indirect, it's the surveys. We take various surveys to understand the opinions of various stakeholders. So that is the indirect type of assessment. Okay, I think you understood this. Let us move ahead. When we talk of direct assessment, that direct assessment also is divided into two. One is called as a norm referenced, and other one is a criteria referenced. Okay, so when we talk of norm reference, it is nothing but it is based on a set of assumptions that permit comparison of one individual performance with others. So we do the comparison, one person to another. How we do it? No, we take an exam and then we can see that he's a topper. He has got the lowest marks. So we compare individual to individual based on, so that is a norm reference. No, these are the standards that he has got distinction or whatever it is. So that exam is a norm referenced type of direct assessment. But when we come to the criteria reference, they are designed to compare a student's performance to a particular criteria. That is very important, to a particular criteria. So we set some criteria on which we are going to compare the student's performance. We are not comparing one individual with the other. We are comparing every individual student with the set criteria. This is my criteria. Based on this, where he is standing. We are not comparing two students. We are comparing a student with a criteria, set criteria. Okay. So that is nothing but the criteria reference direct assessment, where we have rubric. Okay. So rubric is a tool which is used for direct assessment. Rubric is used for direct assessment, but it is criterion based. It is based on criteria. Therefore, it is called as a criteria reference. So how this rubric came, I think it is very much understood by you all. Yeah, you have any difficulty, you can even use your chat box and you can, okay, but I think it's very much clear to you how this rubric has come. So rubric is a direct assessment tool based on certain sets of criteria. That is a rubric. Okay, so let us move ahead. What is a rubric? So this rubric is a measurement tool. You can even say direct assessment measurement tool that describes the criteria against which a performance, behavior, okay, performance, behavior or product is compared. So when we talk of product, it is a student as a product. Yeah, student as a product is compared and measured. So rubric is a measurement tool where we compare the product or performance or behavior of a student. Okay. So rubrics list the criteria established for a particular task and the levels of achievement associated with each criterion. So rubric, there will be criteria which you need to define them, and then You will have the levels of achievement based on what you are going to compare them. For this criteria, what is the level of performance of that student? So criteria contains what? I told you, there is the columns. Rubric is what? There is the column and rows. That's all. That is a rubric. So if we have that columns and rows, so you will come to know that criteria are there in the rows and levels of achievements are there on the columns. That's all. That becomes a rubric. Okay. So you can see this. This is the rubric. Okay, you can have see this. These are the rows where the criterias are mentioned, and these are the columns where the levels of performance are written. Maybe somebody will say it is a 3 marks, 2 marks, 1 marks. That is a level of performance, or some criteria will be given. So you can see that rubrics is nothing but it's a measurement tool, but it is a matrix. Matrix of what? Matrix of columns and rows. Rows are for criteria, and columns are for level of achievement. That's all. That is a rubric. So easy to understand. Okay. So this is a rubric. Now the question comes, why we should go for a rubric? Okay. So why? What is the use? Why use a rubric? We can take an exam. Why we should go for a rubric? Okay. So can somebody put some answers into the chat box? Let's make it more interactive one. Whatever comes to your mind. Yeah. Why use a rubric? Yes, few of the answers I expect. Why use a rubric? Just waiting for the answers. Okay, assessing, good. For evaluation, student should know his or her assessment. Good. Determination helps in grading accurately for qualitative. So nice, so nice. Good. To analyze students' performance, to assess the achievement of course outcomes. Good. Okay, to check whether students have understood concepts. So nice of you. I'm very happy that participants are so interactive. So many answers are coming. So yes, rubrics make grading consistent and fair. Why? Because we are comparing a student to the set criteria, not we are comparing with the individual. And many times whatever we define there, when we say that he has got a 1 mark, that means what was expected of him, that has not been done by him. So it's a totally defined thing. Therefore grading is more consistent and fair, because every evaluator will come to know, because if I have to give 1 mark, what are the qualities that will be required into that, so that I can give 1 mark or 2 mark or 3 mark. So rubric makes grading consistent and fair. It clarifies expectations to both the students and faculty. It's very important. When you are framing a rubric, this rubric should be known to the students first, that you are going to be judged on these criteria. That makes the student very much prepared. If I'm going to keep a competition today, or maybe a group discussion, maybe a debate competition, maybe a elocution competition, and I have prepared a rubric and it has been displayed to the student that yes, you will be judged by using this rubric. A judge will have this set of rubric, so we'll come to know which are the 5 criteria or 6 criteria those are going to be used to check me, and what is the expectation for this criteria. If I have to achieve 5 full marks, then I have to do these things. So students come to know that they don't argue. They feel, yes, these are the expectations of my teacher. Or otherwise, many a times students don't know what is the expectation of a teacher. What is the expectation? And therefore, they are not able to prepare themselves. Therefore, rubrics help, because once those rubrics is there, it is not only for the students, it's also for the faculty. Because if you appoint some judges for this or faculty, if they don't know when to give 1, 2, 3, 4 marks, because what should be looked after? No, Therefore, what happens, no? When we are having some competition, some 3-4 judges are sitting. What happens? One judge gives uh, to most of the students from 15 to 20. One judge gives from 8 to 15, not more than that. And then there is a problem. So if we have a rubric, the expectations to these examiners, evaluators, or the faculty, and both to the students are clear. Therefore, you have to use a rubric. Okay. Then rubrics can help identify areas for improvement. Once the rubric is there in front, you can give that sheet to a student. Come on, this is the area where you have failed. You have to improve on this area so that you can be a good elocutor, so that you can do a very nice presentation. So rubrics help in identifying, because those sets are there. Here you have got 1 mark because this is not, you need to do some improvement. Okay, so rubrics can help identify areas of improvement. Rubric saves time in the grading process once they have been developed. Okay, because once it is developed for every elocution competition, because once we do the validation, and if it is ready, every time whenever some discussion is there, come on, these are the rubrics. All the faculties are sitting, discussion is happening there between the students, and everybody is grading. So it will save time. So grading process become easy because it will take time for the first time. Once it is validated, then you can use it every time, and that saves your time. Rubrics help track changes in student performance over time. Okay, this is very important, because a student who is in the first year, we have taken a group discussion maybe in the first month, second month, and at the end of the year, 8 times discussion have taken place or more, whatever it is. You can track the change, how this student has made the progress, how he has make the changes, and therefore you can see the sheet tells you how the student has made a change in his group discussion, or how he has improved his performance in oral presentation. So that type of tracking is possible if you have a rubric. Okay, so therefore we have to use a rubric. Rubric has an enormous value, because rubric helps you in making all these things. Okay, I think you have understood why we have to use a rubric. Now there are types of rubric also. There are 2 important types of rubric. One is called as a holistic rubric, which describe the characteristics of a performance to give an overall judgment of its quality. Overall judgment. Holistic rubric means it will not give define every set of criteria. Only thing is overall. If this is a criteria, what overall performance was. Okay, that is it gives. So that is called as a holistic rubrics. While there is an analytical rubrics, where rubrics judge each individual characteristics of a performance separately. Okay, so 2 types. One is holistic, another one is analytic rubrics. We will see it so that you will come to know holistic rubric. Okay, so holistic rubric, you will find that it presents a description of each level of achievement and provides a single score based on an overall impression of a student's performance. So once that criteria is set, you can give the marks based on what performance he has done for that task. Okay, so you will find here what is there are only 2 columns. Holistic rubric is made up of only 2 columns. The first column, levels of achievement, and the second column tells the description. That's all. Only 2 columns is a holistic rubric. You can see this sample holistic rubric. So in the first, what we have done, we have given this level of performance: excellent, good, satisfactory, needs improvement. And here the detailing has been done. So we have 2 columns, the first column and the second column, or the description of level of performance is given in the second column. So when we say that he has done the excellent, means this: the content covered in the presentation is apt to the title of topic, the presentation skills are exemplary, the points covered are in sequence, the communication is clear, and audience response is praiseworthy. So this is the set of characteristics. If you feel that he has done excellent, these set you found out, then you can mark him excellent. If somebody is there, the content covered in the presentation is irrelevant, the presentation skills needs improvement, points covered are haphazardly, he was unable to communicate properly, and even the audience response is low, then you have to give this needs improvement. This is your performance given by the student. So likewise, a holistic rubric is made up of only 2 columns. The first column, levels are given, and those levels are described in the second column. That's all. So this is a holistic rubric. So sometimes when you are having a quick results, you go for the holistic rubric. I want to just segregate. That's all. I will go for holistic rubric. It's a very quickly you can do. Okay. So what are the advantages of the holistic rubric? When you use this holistic rubric, it's a quick scoring. No, it doesn't take much time. Okay. And generically, you write something like, okay, whenever you have many tasks, okay, that time holistic rubric can be used easily. And this is good for summative assessments, as this give overall judgment of performance. This is important one. So make it understood that holistic rubrics are used for summative assessment because you are giving a overall performance of the student. This is not suitable for formative type of assessment. Therefore, that becomes, okay, it's disadvantage. So 2 disadvantages. One disadvantage is do not provide specific feedback about strengths and weaknesses, which area you are failing. That is not given. You just say needs improvement, but where? That no. So whenever you want to give feedback to your student about their strengths and weaknesses, holistic rubric cannot be used. Okay. Therefore, this is not useful for formative assessment. Okay. So holistic rubric, we have advantages and disadvantages. Then comes the analytic rubric. So analytic rubric presents a description of each level of achievement of each criteria and provides a separate score for each criteria. Okay, it provides a separate score. So analytic rubric, when we go for, we have more columns, more than 2 columns I can say, because each level of achievement for each criterion is provided and separate score you get. Okay, so you will find that in the left column criteria are given and all the descriptions are given, a level of performance is given on the other columns. Okay, you can see this sample analytical rubric. So you can see these are all the first column. Okay, this is given. These are the criteria written in the rows. First criteria, second row, second criteria, third criteria, third row, fourth row, like this. And when we come in the columns, it is the level of performance which we are getting, level of performance. Okay, therefore here you are getting the detailed this one. Now in case of this criteria, where the student was, organization was haphazard, therefore you click this. For body language, he was having comfortable interacting with audience, therefore you are going to give these 3 marks. Likewise, this is an analytic rubric, more detailed performance where the strengths and weaknesses can be defined for each and every student. Okay, so this is a sample analytic rubric. So what is the advantages of this? So we have the advantages. It provides more detailed feedback on student performance. Scoring is more consistent across students and raters. And the disadvantages, it is more time consuming than applying a holistic rubric. This is important. It's time consuming, but gives a detailed feedback. And scoring is more consistent across students because everything is well defined. Even the rater can rate it. Okay. So these are the advantages of analytical rubric. Okay. Now, when you can involve your participants or the students in using a rubric, let them rate also. That can become a beautiful thing, because even they will come to know If I am judging a student who is performing there, means he will also come to know if my marks to be improved, then I have to do these things. So there are the advantages of the rubric. Okay. Now the question comes, when to we use which rubric? Either I should go for the holistic rubric or I have to go for the analytic rubric. So whenever you want a quick snapshot of achievement, then you can use a holistic rubric. A single dimension is adequate to define the quality, then you can go for holistic rubric. But when you want to go for analytic rubric, when you want to see strength and weaknesses, you want a detailed feedback about student performance, then you can go for analytic rubric. So you have to choose which type of rubric you want whenever you are creating a rubric. Okay. Now there are the components of rubric. Those are 4. So this component, the first one is a task description. The outcome to be assessed, that should be, so it is a task is the oral presentation, that becomes your task description. Second is the criteria. So characteristics to be rated for knowing knowledge, skills and behavior. In the rows we wrote. Okay, so 4 basic parts. One, the task descriptor. Second is the criteria, which we write it in the rows. Third one is the levels of performance, which are written as columns. And then fourth one is descriptors, the description of each characteristic at each level of performance. The description we write. So 4 basic parts. Okay, a task description. Second one is a criterion, or the criteria that is written in the rows, level of performance written in the columns, and description of each. So every cell represents the description of each characteristic at each level. Okay, so how we are going to create a rubric? First, you can see this. Whenever you want to create a rubric, you should have a paper and pen. First thing, write a task description. No, the task may be written in the 3-4 sentences also. It is not that I have said here oral presentation, that means only it is a title. It is not a title. You have to describe a task. Whatever you want the students to be told into that task, that can be written. Just for this one, I have taken oral presentation. Okay, because the task may be like this. You will have to present, no, you will have to present a suitable topic for 15 minutes. Like this, it might be a task. Then second thing comes a criteria. In the rows, you can write the criteria. These are the oral presentation. I'm going to set the criteria: clarity, content, communication, body language. Then the third thing comes is the level of performance. Below expectation, near expectation, meets the expectation and exceeds the expectation. These are the 4 levels of performance that I have set. And then I start to describe each and content at the level of meets expectation. This is the description. For the most part, explanation of concepts and theories are accurate. This is my specification or description for this cell. So student comes to know that if I am here, whether I'm not going to do this, means I will be getting these marks, or otherwise I will getting these marks, like this. So 4 components you should remember. The first one is a task description, second criteria, third level of performance, and fourth one are the descriptors. Okay, now there are the various steps by which you can create the rubric. The step number 1 is determine the type of rubric you wish to use, holistic or analytic. All depends upon whether you are going to use it for getting a detailed feedback or not, whether it is for the formative assessment or for summative assessment. Based on that, you are going to determine the type of rubric. Okay, then this comes the step 2. Identify what you want to assess. Whenever you want to draft create a rubric, you need to think, you have to describe the assignment. So that description is very, very important. How, what I want to assess. I said oral presentation. So you need to find out for what you are preparing the rubric, what is the task which you are going to give to the student. There should not be tasks. Even the cultural programs also to be given to the student without a rubric. Let their performance be checked at a suitable criteria. Okay. Then step 3, identify the criteria. What criteria are important when you are giving them the task? The criteria should be very clear into your mind that these are the criteria. Maybe when you are going to sit together as a teachers and you are going to finalize criteria, maybe some 10 criteria you have defined, but somehow that is not manageable. So which are the 5 important criteria or 6 important criteria that we should see set, which are important one, so that we can judge the performance of the student? So you have to identify those criteria. Okay. And therefore you are going to write those into the rows. Okay. So that is the step 3. Step 4, identify the levels of performance. So you're going to identify levels of performance. Somebody will say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Somebody will say no, whatever we have used. So any type of level of performance, it is your choice. You can give that name to it. But level of performance you are going to identify. And there also, it may be in the columns, you want to define only 3 or 4 or 5. It all depends upon you. Levels of performance. And then step 5, identify describers. This will take time. Describe each level of mastery. When I say that you will be getting 1 mark for this criteria, when I have to describe, you're going to get 5 marks. I have to describe that this against this criteria, these are the description. We are going to judge you for this content here. This should be there as a characteristics in it. Okay. So that is a step 5, and the last step is discuss with colleagues. Once the rubric is ready, you have to discuss with colleagues, review the feedback. First you run it for some task, and then you find out whether it was right or something is missing into this. So you have to review, take the feedback, and you can revise it. Once you have revised, it will be ready for you to use into your institute for that task. Okay. So I think there are the 6 steps which you can use for creating the rubrics. Okay. Now you will see, let us see in detail. Step number 1, determine the type of rubric. Okay, so you have to determine whether I should go for a holistic rubric. If you want quick overall snapshot of student achievement, go for holistic rubric. But if you want a more detailed feedback about strength and weaknesses, then you have to go for the analytical rubric. Or even when you want your students to self-assess them, let them give marks based on them, their performance, because self-assessment is also important, because sometimes the students feel that the teacher has or evaluator has given less marks. Let him also self-assess. That will be much more beautiful thing. Like, no, even the self-assessment is done, and even the evaluators are doing the assessment. Even the peer assessment can be done. So if you want self-assessment, peer assessment, and teachers assessment to be done, analytic rubric is the best thing, because students know exactly what to see into each criteria. Okay, so you have to define it. In the step 1, determine the type of rubric, holistic or analytic. Second, describe the task. You have to finalize the outcomes you want to assess in students. What outcome I want to see, what performance I want to see in the student. Whether I'm going to prepare a rubric to see the performance of a student in a laboratory, whether I'm going to perform a rubric so that whenever the students are going for an industrial visit, this rubric I'm going to utilize, so that the students are also knowing by looking at the rubric that when I'm going for a industrial visit, the expectations of my teacher are like this. When you now for the diploma, from today or tomorrow onwards, their industrial training training will start. Practical training will start, and that training, if they are not knowing what are the expectations of Pharmacy Council of India, what are the expectations of my teachers, then they just go and bring the certificate. If the rubric is there, you will be judged on these 5 criteria, and what you're going to do, 5 criteria, 10 criteria, whatever it is. So if the rubric is ready for with you, you can just give it to your student. They also come to know we are being judged for all these things. So first describe the outcome you want to assess in students. Okay, describe the instructions to be given to students. No, if you are giving that task, what instructions you should give to the students. So these form the criteria for the assessment. Okay. The second thing is you are going to identify. Third one is identifying the criteria. So you specify the skills, knowledge, and behaviors that you will be looking for. That is the criteria, nothing but. Oral presentation, I want to see what are his presentation skills. I want to see how his communication is. I want to see how he takes the content. So these are the skills or the knowledge base we check. That becomes the criteria. So you have to identify what criteria you are going to check. Because when the student is doing some training, that means there should be some change in his knowledge, skills, and behavior. If that change is not going to happen, certificate has no meaning. Therefore, let us specify. That becomes the criteria. Only thing is, you have to limit the criteria to the most important for the assessment. Or otherwise, you have taken a long list of criteria that may be cumbersome to each and everybody. So limit that criteria to those which are important one. So you can see this, the criteria. Content, visuals of poster, presentation skills, defense, communication, outcomes of presentation, originality, topic selection, research work done, references. They are all things. Whenever they are doing the presentation, research presentation, at that time, these are the criteria. But these are, you can even select few criteria. But if you want to have a detailed feedback, yes, you can have more criteria also. So this is the step 3. Then step 4 is identify the levels of performance. Labels used to describe the levels of performance should be tactful and clear. Okay, it should not be vague. Commonly used labels: exceeds expectation, meet expectations, near expectations, below expectations. So this gives 4 marks, 3 marks, 2 marks, 1 mark. Like this you can. Or otherwise, exemplary, proficient, marginal, unacceptable, mastery, proficient, developing, novice, or 4, 3, 2, 1, or excellent, no, excellent, very good, good, poor. All these are the labels which you can write for levels of performance. Then comes the step 5, that is identify the descriptors. Describe the best work you could expect using these characteristics. Start from top category. So at the top, no, this is my first criteria. So that criteria you have to take the 5 marks first, or exceeds expectations, or proficient. Write that. If I say in this criteria he is proficient, that means what I expect, that you should describe it. Then go on writing for next levels, and then last is he's a novice, or he is below expectation. What means these things are not present into you, that you have to describe. So identify these descriptors. Describe an unacceptable product. This describes the lowest category. Okay, means first you are writing a top category, then you are coming to a lowest category, and then you can write it in intermediate level. Okay, so that becomes a suitable one. So what expectations you expect at the top level, what expectations you have that he has not done anything well, that you write, and then intermediate you can fill it out. Okay, likewise you have to describe these things and then review and revise. Once it is produced, apply, give some assignment, give some task, and apply that rubric. Then share it with the colleagues, discuss, and then review the feedback, and then revise. Once it is revised, then it is ready to use. Okay, so these are the these 6 steps to create any type of rubric. Okay, I think I have told enough regarding the rubric. Now I am going to take you to third this one outcome of today's session, that is how it helps in OBE, use of rubric in OBE. Okay, but this is example. Step 1, oral presentation, determine the type of rubric. I want to go for analytic rubric. Step 2, I'm going to describe. You will present your topic of interest for 10 to 12 minutes and clarify the queries of audience. Step 2 I have done. Step 3, these are the criteria which I have set. Step 4, I have identified the levels of performance. Step 5, I have described each and everything. So my rubric is complete. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, everything I have done. Now I can utilize this, and then I can revise it by discussing with the colleagues. Okay, so this is what the oral presentation rubric has been prepared. Okay, we don't have time for all the details to be seen over here, but surely I will give you the chance to prepare the rubrics in the following slides. But now let me make it more this one. There are various tools, online tools, which are available for rubric creation, but there is no tool which will define every criteria. But ready-made rubrics are also available that you can use, but they should be validated for your institute, because something else will be there. So I'm not going, because we have time constraint, and I want to tell you how we are going to do it in the Moodle also. For that reason, I won't want to go, but you can quickly note it. Okay, see, there is first tool called as a rubric maker. You can go to the site rubricmaker.com. Okay, you will find this type of logo over here. So rubricmaker.com, you will find there are ready-made this one. No, you get the format, and there you can paste whatever. You just type the things by your hand. What is going to happen is you can take the printout of that rubric. You can give it to everybody. Okay, but you get the format. It will tell you give the levels of performance. So 3 levels. It will prepare for 3 levels. How many criterias? So online you can create a rubric by using a rubric maker, or there are these things also, Ruby Star. So this is rubystarforteachers.org. Okay, Ruby Stars for teachers.org, or iRubric. No, this is www.rcampus.com/indexrubric or .cfm. iRubric, you just give in the Google, you will be taken to that. And yeah, I'm going to discuss regarding this Genomio Moodle, how we can create a rubric for your assignment in Genomio Moodle. I'm going to explain it. Okay, so it's a request to all the participants that you can go to all these online tools which are available, which can help you to create the rubric for your task. Okay, so I will come towards OBE, because our focus today's title is OBE assessment, use of rubric. So I think this is very clear, because you have already done it in your OBE. You can see this is total design. This is the flow chart. So it starts from design, that vision and mission is defined, POs are defined, then comes to the POs and PSOs, and then we come towards these course outcomes. Like this it is. But when this is the design, but this is the delivery. When we are delivering it to your students for outcome-based education, it starts with outcomes, course outcomes. So if the design is like this flow chart, the delivery is totally opposite. First, it is the course outcomes that you need to achieve. Then with the help of COs, you can achieve the POs, and thereby POs and vision and mission of your institute. So delivery is totally opposite, that you have already seen. So how I'm going to use rubric for this OBE assessment. Just I will give you one example. The 12th pass student is coming into the engineering, or I will take an example of a pharmacy, because most of the participants are from pharmacy background. So 12th pass student, he comes, he takes the pharmacy education, maybe 4 years degree or 2 years diploma, and he's ready as a pharmacist. So when he becomes a graduate, there are the graduate attributes. And what are those? No, we say it as a program outcomes. So when we talk of program outcomes, we say that he should have the knowledge, engineering knowledge or the pharmacy knowledge. For pharmacist, it is a pharmacy knowledge. He should have the planning abilities, problem analysis, modern tool usage, leadership skills, professional identity, pharmaceutical ethics, social responsibility, okay, or how he is going to be useful to society, lifelong learning, environment and sustainability. So these are the program outcomes. So when a graduate comes out as a pharmacist, he should have all these things. PO1, PO2, like this it is. Yeah, it's a communication also as a PO11. Okay, so keep it. How many program outcomes are there? It has nothing to do, but just go through. Pharmacy knowledge is first. Maybe modern tool uses, you are using some tools, but these are the two things which we are taking them. Maybe sometimes problem analysis also, maybe some problems are there in practicals. They are planning something in the projects. Therefore, PO1 to PO4, yes, we are taking the exams. What about other POs? Okay, COPO attainment calculation will be there. So I am not going, I'm interested in the rubric, but still I want you to tell that how the rubric is useful for you. When we are teaching the students and taking the exams, you can see the satisfaction of our POs are from PO1 to PO4, other POs, how the things are going to be taken place, how these graduates will have these program outcomes or graduate attributes into that. That is important. So just my one question to you all, that you tell me how you are going to check this or inculcate these program outcomes in your students. Is it possible through whatever teaching learning process is going on? Yes or no? Whatever you take the exams, whether all the POs will be satisfied because of that? No. So how I am going to ensure that my student will be having the leadership skill? He should have that professional identity. That ethics should be there. He should be socially aware, and he will be doing a lifelong learning. How these things will come? And therefore, my dear students, my dear participants, we have to teachers, we have to be very careful that our four POs are, yes, we are taking care of. What about doing? So yes, Nitve sir says it is by taking different activities. Yes. Therefore, you need to plan the activities. And when you are planning the activities, how you are going to correlate that? Just taking activity. Yes, by taking various activities, these POs can be ensured. But that tells you a suitable rubric should be there. Based on that, you can see whether this CO has been achieved or this PO has been achieved or not. And therefore, the rubric is very important when you are going for OBE assessment. That is important. So rubrics helps us to examine how well students have met their COs and POs. Okay, we are not interested how they are performing as compared to their peers. Our exam system tells us only to compare. No, here we have to see how my students have met the COs and POs, and therefore rubrics are important for us in OBE assessment. So tools for ASE, this CO assessment, you take midterm assessment, end term assessment, quiz, no, sessional examination. Okay, you get the marks. What about assignment? You are taking activity as an assignment. You are taking activity as a practical or a lab work. You are keeping industrial visit. You are taking a practical training. All these things are taking. But how you are going to assess this? Are we assessing this? If yes, very good. If no, you have to. Because then only these are the tools. Now assignment I have taken, and if I am not developed any rubric for these to assign to assess them, then what is of use of taking the assignment or that activity? If I have conducted an industrial visit, but I have not seen whether my students has achieved some COs or POs out of it, if I'm not going to assess it, then what is the use of that industrial visit? Therefore, we have to develop a rubric for an industrial visit. Then only we can go for that CO PO assessment. Is it not? So these are the tools for CO assessment. When we talk of tools for PO assessment, many times it is called as, if you achieve CO, you are achieving PO also. So PO assessment tools, you can see 80% direct assessment and indirect. I have already told you how the direct assessment and indirect. So all the surveys will come in direct assessment. Once again, in this direct assessment of CO, indirect will come. So here you can see CO assessment. See the activities, course exit, practical, seminar, project, assignment. So everything will require the rubrics to be designed. No rubrics, no assessment. No assessment, then how you are going to convince to the committee that your program outcomes have been achieved or not? Is it clear? Okay, therefore, use of rubric in OBE is of immense help. Okay, there are so many activities. You can see this: tutorials, practicals, test, quiz. No, this can from PO 1 to 4. You can see this. You will find it. But when you go for presentations, guest lectures, visits, no student seminar, they are not regarding 1 to 4. They may be from ahead things. Okay, mini project or workshops. So any relevant PO you can match. For these, you may be having some, because quiz you are getting directly the scores. But for these, you are not getting the scores. Rubric is the only answer for this. Okay. Now you can see this. Just an example I have taken. You will be studying how to map POs and all that. But you see here, this is the activity for PO assessment. Okay. What they have done: activity, seminar, presentation, case study, guest lecture, visits, and surveys and analysis. These are the activities. The contact hours they have kept is 1 to 6 hours. And what they are doing, they are taking feedback of the students, or they are conducting quiz for these activities, or rubric based assessment. Only one tool has been used, then mapping level is 1. If they are going to use 2 tools, feedback or quiz, 1 anything from it, and rubric, mapping level is 2. And if you have to map it to 3, then you have to take even the feedback, rubric, as well as do the impact analysis. All 3 activities you are doing, your mapping for PO will be 3 in nature. Okay, this is one example I am taking. CO PO mapping and their attainment differs based on various institutes. Okay, and I'm not going to tell you what is this. Only my objective of today's session is regarding the rubric, and therefore I am telling you, if you want to do the mapping as well as attainment calculations, it is the rubric which is going to help. So any activities which you are going to keep, when you want to assess it, rubric is a must. Without that, you are not able to do justice to CO PO attainment calculations. Okay. Now, a time for you. I will just go through. I want your active participation, because I have kept these things blank. This is a rubric for seminar presentation. I want your participation. Maybe will take, I've kept it intentionally blank, because if I tell each and every rubric a sample one, it may not be used for it. I think you as a participant, come on, use the chat box. Okay. Or you can take, you use the chat box, or you can directly unmute and tell me, if I have to create a rubric for seminar presentation, what is step 1? Step 1, is it a holistic or? Yes, come on. Is it a holistic or analytic rubric? Which we will take? See, we have
Analytic.
so many
Analytic.
columns, so analytic. Good. So we will go for analytic. Step number 2, describe. I think already it is written over here, or you can make a statement of this. I am taking this as a seminar presentation. Okay. This is there. Okay. Then third is step is you have to define the criteria. Come on. Tell me what are your outcomes for seminar presentation, what you will be looking forward to. Yes, third one is criteria. Write in chat box or tell me which criteria you will be looking for. Which criteria you will be looking for? Because we have to write here. Okay, somebody is saying, okay, so first is content. Somebody is saying delivery of contents.
Type of aid.
Body language.
Communication skill.
Communication skills. Likewise, yes, you are doing it. No, we have to develop a
type of aid. Type of aid.
You are doing it. Communication, interaction with audience, how he is doing. So many things are coming. So whenever you want to create any rubric, it is 5 or 10 faculty members sitting together and coming with all these type of things. No. Somebody see how many people are telling so many of things. Voice modulation, pronunciation, everything is coming. And no, all these things are going to be a part of your description. Okay, so out of this, whatever the words are coming, I will finalize few, maybe 5. Okay, so first one is a content as a criteria. Maybe second one is a communication. Okay, third one I am taking as a delivery. Third one, okay, body language, because body language will cover all, pronunciation, voice tone and all that. So likewise, the criteria is ready. Now tell me what I should write here into this levels of performance. Okay, very easy to write is excellent. Okay, somebody is saying it is excellent.
Very good.
No, somewhere it is very good. No,
good.
So anything. I have told you many examples for that. So very good, good and poor. And now you have to define this in content. When you talk of excellent content, means first thing, relevant to topic. Okay, organization of content is good. Okay, so likewise, when you want to describe these things, it will come once you define this excellent and then come to the poor and write something into this. This is going to help you. Okay, likewise, you have to define everything. No, pronunciation is there, voice is there, everything will come. And this will, you will get the help. And when you do the brainstorming session, the rubric for seminar presentation will be ready. Okay, so what we have done, we have used various steps. Once this is done, come on, discuss it with the colleagues. Then come on, as a sample, you apply to any of the task. Then take the feedback and then finalize. The rubric for seminar presentation is ready with you. You see, rubric which is a ready-made. There is no personal touch of yours. Your institute faculty member should sit and prepare the rubric. Why to take somebody else's rubric? It may not be true for you. Your thought process is different. You are unique, and therefore you should develop your own rubrics. Okay, that you can take the guidance, no doubt. There are so many rubrics available. Okay, so rubric for seminar presentation. Okay, we don't have that much of time, so I will just run through some another. No, somebody said we have to achieve our POs through activities. We have to achieve our COs sometime, because it is beyond the syllabus. You have set as CO which is beyond the syllabus. How you are going to achieve it? Maybe I have kept a guest lecture. So if it's a guest lecture, how you are going to use this guest lecture as a tool for assessing some PO or CO. How? Rubric. Come on, give a try. What you will be looking forward for? You have kept a guest lecture into your institute. You have called somebody and taking the guest lecture. How, on what criteria you are going to judge whether the student's learning outcome has been achieved? I am not talking about, because see, rubric is different, feedback is different. Feedback about a speaker you can take in a feedback form. That separately you can do. That needs to be done, no doubt. But this is a rubric where you are going to see whether your CO has been achieved, or you're going to map it to a CO or a PO. So for that, you are preparing this. Okay. So what you will take? Come on. What are your learning outcomes through guest lecture?
Knowledge.
Come on.
Knowledge.
Yes. Professionalism. Okay.
Knowledge.
Professionalism. Yeah, somebody said eye contact and all. Yeah, can I take it? Interaction with a speaker. No, every student, how he interacted. Means if this rubric is given to a student, student will see that I have to interact with whether he was attentive, good. Attentive. Okay, whether the knowledge of that student has been improved because this guest lecture has been covered to improve, which is beyond the syllabus, or something which is into the industry, which will improve his knowledge or the skill. So whether there is the improvement in this knowledge, that might be the criteria. The connection with the students. Yes, I'm not talking about the speaker, I'm talking about the students. This is the rubric of the student. How was their participation? Yes. Participation in what? Somebody came ahead and he said, I will give the vote of thanks to the speaker. Yes. Helpful for grooming. What type of grooming? You have to identify that, because you are going to write it in a description. So these things will come. Come on, you yourself can see that by keeping this guest lecture, I am going to achieve these learning outcomes for my students. If that is defined, that from that it becomes the criteria which you can write over here. This is the guest lecture number 1. Topic is this, that topic of the guest lecture. These are the learning outcomes. This is going to improve the knowledge regarding tablet formulation. Because from the book, it is not possible. A guest lecture from industry will help. They get to know. No, when you come to this guest lecture, where the students were curious. What was the curiosity to learn something new? Is it not? So this type of things will come. Prepare the criteria. You take this as a columns, as a level of performance. Write the description into it and give it to the students. My dear students, each of you will be judged after completion of this guest lecture, whether there is an improvement in your knowledge, whatever earlier knowledge you were having, something has been added to it or not. Have you understood how to communicate with the elderly people, the higher authority people? How you're going to? Are you curious to know something? How was your participation? Whether you created some nuisance, means that will be told by behavior. No, we talk of ethics. We talk of ethics, and directly when we say that by taking a lecture on ethics, ethics will not be there. It is these guest lectures will tell you, some programs will take you how the behavior of students are, how I am going to improve. After finishing of this, I need to tell that student your behavior was not proper, your behavior was not ethical, how you can. Okay, so every PO needs to be understood and thought through this process. Okay, so likewise, good. You have participated in creating the rubric for guest lecture also. No, I'm just giving you food for thought. It is you. You have to sit into your institutes and do it. Okay. Seminar presentation. Okay. Industrial visit. Same way. Now the question comes: why we send our students to the industrial visit? No. So if there is a rubric, they will be judged by on these things. Once the industrial visit is there, after coming, I'm going to conduct one quiz based on what you have seen. Means their knowledge can be checked. But not only that, other things are there which needs to be taken into the rubric. Yeah, observation, what you have observed, whether he was curious to learn something into the industry, how was his observation skills, okay. Then how was his interaction with, no, if you have formed some groups, how was his group behavior, how was his team efforts, no, teamwork, like this. There are so many things which you can come up with, point out the things, learning outcomes. Those learning outcomes will become your, yes, correlate between theory and practical. You ask them, correlate whatever you have seen in the theory, is it more relatable to the practice in the industry? So the learning outcomes of the industrial visit can form your criteria. You will describe these things, and then if this is there, your students will be much more responsible, because after industrial visit, yes, we are going to be judged for all these rubrics, and that becomes your assessment tool. Same case, the projects are given to the students. Why this project has been given? Okay. Now, I will show you few of the rubrics which are present as a sample, just how it should be, because I don't believe that you should copy anything and use it. Okay, but still, as a sample, I will tell you. Now you can see this rubric for oral presentation. So these are the criteria, and these are the capstone, milestones, and benchmark. These are the words which have been used because these are the sample rubrics taken, which have been developed by Association of American Colleges, who came together and have made this draft. From that, I have taken this as a sample for you. Okay, so when we talk of rubric for oral presentation, see, they have given marks, benchmark. At least you should come to at this level. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, those who achieve 4, it is called as a capstone, which is excellent one. What are these? Organization is the criteria. Language is the criteria. Delivery is the criteria. Now, everything is defined over here. It will take a lot of time to read these things. Okay, so that may not be good. I will most probably send you these things as a PDF file into your group so that everybody can use it. Okay, by today evening, I will put it into your group. Okay, so I will just run through the slides because I don't want to make much time on this one. This you can just see it into a document. Okay, this is a Association of American Colleges. Maybe everything is not fit, but you see, last time we were discussing about oral presentation. In case of delivery, see what they have taken: posture, gesture, eye contact, vocal expressiveness. That makes the presentation compelling and speaker appears polished and confident. Then we give 4 marks. Now, language, what language in the presentation is using, whether that language is suitable to connect with the audience or not. How was his organization from one point to another point, or it was haphazard? If it is haphazard, we'll go here. Likewise, see, specific introduction and conclusion, sequence material within the body and transition is not observable within the presentation, therefore 1 mark. So these things, if you provide it to your students and then you take a oral presentation as an activity, they will come to know. Okay, so organization, language, delivery, what was the supporting material they have used? What is the central message they have given during the oral presentation? So these are the 5 criteria that has been used and everything has been given. So this is a sample. Now you can see group discussion. Many times we are not taking a group discussion, but group discussion is a very important activity which should be taken. Therefore, tutorial is given. Why we can't keep that? Okay, so here, see the conduct. I told you, this conduct is going to tell you his ethical behavior, or you can use it for other things. So conduct, leadership skills. Now, if you tell that I am, see, through group discussion, the leadership skill comes. If your every graduate should have that leadership skill, then you should take the group discussions and you're going to judge these students. Therefore, this will be helpful for connect to your PO leadership skills. Reasoning, critical reasoning, how he gives the reasoning during the group discussion. Listening, reading. So these are the 5 criteria. Unacceptable, not yet competent, competent, sophisticated. So this criteria, this rubric you have created, week after week, if you're keeping one group discussion per week, or then what, maybe one every week is suitable, because on Saturday or somewhere you can make them in a groups and take this group discussion. You will find that they are improving, their leadership skills are improving, their other things are improving, communication is improving. So you can go for OB assessment. Therefore, rubric should be there. Okay. Now, lifelong learning. This is a PO. And many times we say lifelong learning, how it is possible? Yes, it is possible. It all depends upon, lifelong learning is all purposeful learning activity undertaken on ongoing basis with the aim of improving knowledge, skills, and competence. See, if I can say that this student is a student, or I have imparted lifelong learning skill into it, means when I can say if my student is curious, he takes the initiation, if he is independent, something is given, yes, he starts and does that activity on himself. Maybe few of the students are not participating. Let them give this, that you are not doing this. So they will be getting 1 mark. Let them start to improve. At the end of the 4th year, he may also come to 4th position. So already lifelong learning as a graduate attribute is there into your student. Okay, so you have to plan that activity. Therefore, lifelong learning skill will come into him. So curiosity, initiative, independence, transfer, reflection. Okay, these are the few points which you can judge for lifelong learning of a student. Creative thinking. Yes, creative thinking is there in present or not. How you are improving creative thinking amongst your students. Yes, how? I'm keeping an activity. Yes, but which activity? Define that, create that, and observe this. Acquiring competencies. Is it taking the risk? Solves the problem? Okay. If there are the contradictions also, whether he suitably embrace it or not, and whether the innovative thinking is there or not, that will tell about creative thinking. Ethical reasoning. I say that ethics is not going to come into the student by a single lecture. You have to see from the first year to final year. You have to see him into the laboratories. You have to see him doing some activities, and then you have to judge them on these things. Ethical self-awareness, understanding different, how, whether he understands that ethical perspectives, recognizes ethical issues into that, okay, or applies his ethical perspectives, and you evaluate different ethical perspectives. Okay, so this is a rubric by which you can even take some activities in between and correlate your this rubric to your PO. Problem solving rubric is also there. Teamwork rubric is also there. Okay, so whether your students, because in the industry it should be teamwork, it is not a competition. How I and you can become a team and work together in achieving something, that is very important. That makes the life more beautiful, and therefore teamwork is important. How I am going to make or inculcate that habit into my student, my colleagues, of a teamwork. Therefore, we have to take these activities and you have to, yes, rubric for teamwork. Okay. So, whether he contributes to team meetings, whether he facilitates contribution of team members, individual contribution is there or not, constructive team climate he creates or not, and response to conflict. So based on that, you are going to even use the rubric for teamwork. Okay. So that's all. These all the rubrics. I will keep it as a sample for you into your group. Now, I think how to create a rubric also, that we have achieved. Now we will go towards the last part of my presentation. Most probably I will complete within 15 minutes, and then we will take the question answer session. So let us go towards the how we can create and use rubric in Moodle. Okay, so I will just skip this. And I think yesterday you remember that Moodle TLP, this I have explained it. So we will be using that, and I will okay. So I am okay. So you can see, yes, I'm going to log in to moodletlp.genomio.com. Okay, so yes, so I have already told you, whenever you come to the dashboard, you have to go to site home. So this was the course which we had developed yesterday, OBE implementation through LMS. I will go to into this course. So I want to create an assignment. What is the first step? Anybody just give, whenever you have to create something into this, what is your first step into the Moodle you have to do? I opened our course. I want to create, first what I have to do? Yes, Krishna Prasad, turn editing on. Yes, Kirti ma'am, yes, it is a turn editing on. So I have created this. Okay, so something was this. So I will go to day 4. Today is a day 4. So I will go to day 4. Okay, so here you can see when turn editing was there, add an activity or resource. So I will add one activity. So what I have to add is assignment. So assignment is nothing but a task which you want to give to your student. So I will give a assignment. Yeah, see, in the task you can give. Okay, so we had discussed this. So I will go for a group discussion. I'm going to keep a group discussion today for the students. So I want to create a rubric for the help of the student also, and for you to give the marks. And why you are going to do it on the Moodle? It is because if you are going to conduct some 16 group discussions in a year for that class, all the performance of all the students in that year you can find in one click. Or otherwise, whenever maybe at the end you want it, after 4 years of his course, at that time also you will get, so that you can compare how he has performed in the group discussion 1 to 60, like this. Therefore, just I'm taking this as a group discussion. If you want to write, because we don't have time, I don't want to give any description about the task, so you can write anything. Okay, here. Okay, I will just write group discussion only, but that you can define total what they need to do is here. And if you want to display it on a course page, you can display. Click this, it will be displayed on your this one. So allow submission from. Now you will say that the students are going to do a group discussion. So what submission they will do? Okay, if you want to keep the record of this one for some activities, they will they will keep, they will upload something, or they will write something into that. I was present for the group discussion, or otherwise you can even ask them to give a gist, write them one page of the gist of the group discussion, and upload it on this one. Okay, like this you can do. So allow submission. Today's date I have taken, due date is 6th August. It's okay. Remind me to grade. So this is the even reminding for you. You can even set a cutoff date. Yeah, the cutoff date is, I want to set it on no, we can give 2 days more after this one. So 8th August I will do as a cutoff date. Then remind to grade. No, 13th is the last date. So the reminder will come to each of the faculty or to you, no, to grade it. Then submission types, online text you want or file submission you want, both you want, you can click on both. Maximum number of uploaded files that can be given. Okay, but I don't want more files to be uploaded by them, only one file. Maximum size, I don't want 100 MB, I want just 10 MB to be uploaded, or 5 or MB only to be uploaded. I will give that. Then accepted file types. Now you have to choose. If you want all the types to be, that will also take. So you can just take all the types. Then even you can go and see feedback types. No, when you are going to give the feedback, write some feedback on that. You can do the feedback comments, annotate PDF. If they submit the PDF, you can annotate on that. Okay. So grading worksheet, if you want offline also, that can be clicked. Feedback files, if you want, that can be clicked. So that everything will be given. Sometimes if you want to give the comment inline, you can make it yes, so that inline comment also you can. In their PDF file also, you can write something. That can be, so you can take it as yes. Then submission settings. Require students to click the submit button or no. Require that student accept the submission statement. Some statement you are going to ask them to sign, they will do it. You should even see how many attempts you are going to give to the student, the first attempt only or additional attempt. Okay, you can even do this automatically until pass. Means till you make him pass, no, he will go on doing that attempt. So nice of it, or otherwise he is not pass in that. So maximum attempts. Group submission, let me tell you, there is a unique facility in Moodle. You can create the groups, you can give the project into the groups. Okay, and when the student is going to submit it into groups, yeah, group submission is also allowed. Okay, right now I will not do that. Notifications, notify graders about submission. Yes, because you will come to know that they have submitted. Default setting after notify student, yes, means once you have graded, even that notification will go to the students. This submission will go to the students. Then you can see the grade. Now you can see this. Maximum grade is 100. Grading method. There are so many grading methods. Simple grading, marking grade, guide is also there. I am interested in rubric, how to create a rubric. So when you come into grading method, you have to click rubric. Then it is possible for you to create the rubric. Okay. So this is the grading method. Then category, let it be like that. Grade to pass. If you want to keep that, you can keep it. Anonymous submissions, are you going to allow? Yes or no? You have to see. If you don't want anybody to come as anonymous, then click this. Or if you want to keep it, hide grader identity from students. That is facilities also there. Okay. So like this it is. Use marking workflow. You just click all and see how the things are. Common module settings. So availability, where it is going to be. Restrict access, if you want to restrict it. Whether this, you can see students can manually mark. Instead of that, you can always keep it when conditions are met. Okay. And then these are the things. If you want to have the competencies and tags, I think Bansur sir has explained you yesterday what the competencies are. So like this things you can do it. So I'm going to save this and return to course. So our assignment is created. Yeah. Let me not waste time. I will just click on never. Okay. So you can see this. Whatever I wrote there, group discussion, it has also come over here. This is a title, and whatever the body, if you want to give the instruction, that will come here. Okay. That I have not done. So now what is there? Group discussion is ready. Now I have to set the rubric for this group discussion. So what I will do, once this is ready, you can see here at this right hand side, there is a edit button. I will click this and I will go into, if you want to do some editing, then you can do this edit setting, or otherwise you will have to see. This is the group discussion which is ready. See this. Okay, how many participants submitted and everything you will get into this. 6 days are remaining for this, and you are going to click create afterwards. But here, when you come into this, there is a gear icon at the right hand side. When you click this, you can see so many things come. And once you come here in advanced grading, we have define rubric button. Have you got this? Define rubric. So we have to go to the gearbox, click here, you will get the defined rubric. And then when you click on defined rubric, you will be taken to this. Okay. So here I go. Also, I am going to write here group discussion. If you want to write the description over here, you can write the description, same description given over there. So this is a rubric. So you can add the criteria over here. You can add the labels into here. First, see the rubric options. See, calculate grade having a minimum score of the minimum achievable grade. Yes, tick. All are ticked one. This is very good. See, display rubric description during evaluation. This helps evaluator. If the description is there, therefore always should be clicked. Allow users to preview rubric. This is very important because students will come to know how they are going to be graded by using rubric. So that should always be there. Therefore, allow users to preview rubric. So it should be there for the evaluators. No, after grading also, no, display, those who are doing the grading, no, they should know the rubric description. Display points for each level of during evaluation. Let the student know he has got 1 mark into this section, he has to improve there. So all this you can make, no, you have to tick it. Okay, by default it is ticked one, but you should know this. If it is not ticked one, it will not happen. So you have to tick this, but by default it takes. Okay, now I will add level first. Okay, so you can see this 3, 2, 1. Now when I'm adding, it was initially 0, 1, 2. The third point has come. So now for easy this one, I have taken this. Okay, and unacceptable, I will take this, Control C. Control V. Then I will go for not yet competent. Control V. Competent. Control C is a sophisticated one. Okay, so I have set 4 levels. If you want 5, you can add level and you can make it. Okay, if you want to change the points also 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it has become totally ulta. Just for that sake, no, I don't want to waste time. I will keep it like that. So unacceptable is to be written to this side because it is, or otherwise you write the points like that only. So I'm taking 4 points. I will give 3 points to this. I will give, yeah, it's already matching 2 points. I will make it 1 point. Okay, if you want to make it 0, it's okay, no problem. Now I'm going to add the criteria. Okay, so here I'm going to write the first criteria is the conduct. Yeah, add criteria, Control V. I will not take all these things. It is only because it will take much more time. Yeah, and therefore I won't go for all. Only 2 criteria I will take right now, and I will just copy these things. Okay, I won't even copy others criteria also, because just I want to show you how you can do it. So this is what we have done. So the rubric is ready. Okay, if you want to add the criteria, just I will take the remaining criteria also, because the rubric will be complete. Okay, so these are my criteria, these are my levels of performance, and this is the description. For others, I'm not writing the description right now, because I just want to, because we can edit it afterwards. So I am just save rubric and make it ready. So my rubric is ready. Something is a problem. Yeah, it is saying, let me do one thing. I will just remove the criterias, no, or otherwise I will have to write everything. So I will just remove this criteria. Okay, and I will paste for this, because it won't accept it without it.
Sir, simply put A, B, C, D into that, so you will save the time.
Yes.
Simply put A, B, C, D into that level
That can also
description.
be done.
A, B,
Yeah,
C,
thanks for the
D.
suggestion. Yeah, I can write only ABCD. Yes. So I'm just putting ABCD. That's all. Very nice suggestion. Yeah, instead of that, because this is what demo for you, so no problem. That the okay. So you are going to write the descriptions like this. So everything is given. So I'm going to save this rubric. Something has remaining. Okay.
First one. Again, write X, 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 A, B, C, D. Still, you have to write something in the description.
Okay. So you can see this. Now the group discussion is ready to use. You can see the criterion, and you can see the levels of performance, and you can see this. This is what has come. Okay. So now this rubric is ready. You can use it whenever the submissions will come, because if you can go on a group discussion, okay, you will come to know that this is what you get. So view all submission. Nobody has no submitted. Therefore, it is not possible for me to see how an evaluator can check this. And for that reason, I will skip this, and I will go into our pedagogians.genomio.com website, which we used for last year for you to train. And the data is still over here. So that is the use of a Moodle. That right now also I can click and go and see, find out invalid login. Okay, so I will just click on the available courses, one of the available courses. Then, yeah, I will come into week 1. Yeah, we'll go to week 1 only. Okay, so this is a graded task 1. Okay, so I will just go here. You can see this creation of PowerPoint presentation on any topic of your subject was the task given. Okay, even the guidelines have been there. Rubrics for is also given over here. So this rubric You can see, even the students can see. Okay. Now, what is the thing is, I want to, whenever the students will submit, we will get this. So I'm going to say this, we've all submissions, because no, not we've all submission. I wanted to go for a grade. Okay. Anyways, so this is what. Okay. I will just go for his grading. So he had submitted. You will find that this is what you get. Okay, so he has given his assignment on a Google Drive, okay, or as a link or whatever it is, and you can see this. The gradebook is available for you. So I will make it like this. Okay, so usage of font, use of color, slide background, overall impact. These are the things. So what you are going to do is, see, for this one, the first one, see, we have in the bottom 3. See, this is 1, this is 2, okay, and this is the third, where you can see on the third button, if you click, the whole grading appears over here. So when you see the discussion or whatever it is, group discussion is there, or here it is this one. So use of font. So we have given 2 points. Why? Because he has used 2 fonts which are readable one. If it is not there, I can write some remarks into this column that your fonts are not readable. So means you can give the marks to a participant. Not only that, you can even write the remarks for this. Same usage of this one, use of color. He has given appropriate use color, so 2 marks. Then slide background, perfect use of background to make the slides readable and aesthetically beautiful. So 2 points have been given. Overall impact, alignment, fully aligned. But overall impact, we have given 0 marks because he has not followed 6x6 rule. On a one slide only, he has written so much that overall impact is lost. Therefore, 0 marks has been given. So when you are doing this, you can even write here the feedback is given. Nice presentation. Some slides are not as per 6x6 rule. Therefore, this is no, they have to improve in the next this thing. Okay. And then when you say, you can submit button is there. Now it is already submitted, but I can even make the save changes. So once you save the changes, these changes, whatever you have written, it will be saved. It will be notified to the student, because here it is notified student has come. Okay. So you can see this. It has already been graded. So you will find this. Okay. You will find this, that you can create the assignment, in that you can define the rubric, and then based on the rubric you can evaluate, and whatever has been done by him, these marks have been stored into his this one. So in a one click I can see everything, what is his performance for the group discussions which we have taken, or all the activities which have been taken by you in that year. Okay. So likewise you can use, I think I have utilized my full time. So it is that's all from my side. Okay. So you can just, I will display the thank you slide to you. That's all from my side. If you have any questions, ask the questions, and then we will go ahead. Yeah.
Dear colleagues, the session is now open for the question and answer. If you have the question, please put them in a chat box or unmute yourself and ask. I think, sir, you have explained so very well, so there will be no questions from the participants. Oh, one question is there.
Yeah, Rushikesh sir has asked how many rubrics to be added for assessment. See, for every task you can create a separate rubric. Okay, there is no problem. There is no end for that. Whatever. See, because if you want to use this data for something, therefore every activity which you create or take into your institute, it should be conducted through rubrics. Means wherever exam is not possible, wherever this one. So that will be helpful for you to correlate mapping to your this one POs or sometimes to the COs. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Now,
Over to you, sir.
I call upon Mrs. Kirti Sapre ma'am.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. It's my pleasure to conclude today's session as a chairperson and propose a vote of thanks to my super senior and renowned alumni of GCOPK, Dr. Raman Das sir, who is working as HOD at GCOPK Karad, for an enlightening and entertaining presentation on OB assessment use of rubrics. We appreciate having this mysterious area clarified so wonderfully. In this presentation, you have provided insights on assessment, different types of assessment, that is summative and formative assessment, types of rubrics, that is holistic and analytical rubrics, and designing rubrics by using various components. You have taken the good examples of guest lectures, seminars, and conferences for designing the rubrics, and how to use the Moodles to create the rubrics you have shown. And all this information will be really helpful MBA, NAC, and even MSBT academic monitoring. We are very grateful for time and effort you have put to share your thoughts and experiences with all the participants. So your enthusiasm is really contagious, and I'm sure people will use and all this information for their NBA accreditation. I'm working as lecturer at MCT Institute of Pharmacy Azam, and we are facing MBA re-accreditation at the end of this month, and all this information will be surely helpful for us. Now I want to thank Dr. Prasad sir, Kuldeep sir, and entire team of Government Polytechnic Jaigaon for giving me honor to chair the today's session. And lastly, I would like to thank all the participants for the attendance. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Kirti madam, for your nice words for me. Thank you. Thank you, Kuldeep sir. And thanks the entire organizing team. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kirti ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir.
Certificate to our resource person, Dr. Das sir. Thank you very much, sir, for delivering the session and be cooperative in the future with us also. Now it's the time to present the certificate to today's session chairperson, Mrs. Kirti Sapre ma'am. It's a wrong certificate.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Also, your certificate will be there on your WhatsApp or on your mail.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Let's participants join at 1 o'clock for second session.
Thank you all and bye-bye. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.